The Earth stands on the brink of destruction, its life force fading rapidly. In a desperate quest for survival, scientists embark on a mission to discover a new planet capable of sustaining humanity. After years of tireless exploration, they finally unveil their monumental finding in the year 2063. Projected on a screen, a breathtaking planet emerges, accompanied by the explanation of a woman who reveals its potential as a new home for mankind. She advocates for a scouting mission to be dispatched, setting the stage for humanity's last hope. Given the daunting 86-year journey to reach this newfound haven, the crew of this mission will not only traverse the vast expanse of space, but also ensure the continuation of their species. To achieve this, successive generations will be born and raised aboard the ship, with the third generation being the ones destined to set foot on the new planet. These crew members are meticulously engineered on Earth, their genetic makeup carefully crafted by blending the genes of eminent scientists. A man steps forward, elucidating the reasoning behind this audacious plan, justifying the necessity for a crew comprised of individuals who have been molded since birth for this pivotal mission. He acknowledges concerns about the crew's preparedness to navigate the complexities of space travel alone, highlighting the vital role they will play in mankind's survival. In a subsequent scene, we find Richard, the man who voiced the concerns, donning a complete protective suit as he enters a specialized facility where the child crew is being nurtured. As he enters their living quarters, their faces light up with joy at the sight of him. Richard diligently monitors their progress in education and gently tucks Christopher, Sella, and Zach into bed. Amidst their shared vulnerability, Zach expresses his fears, but Richard consoles him, assuring him of his safety. The following day, Richard confers with a woman entrusted with overseeing the mission. With unwavering determination, he proposes that he join the children as their guardian and mentor, dedicated to raising and shielding them during their incredible odyssey. Richard's inclusion in the crew would also expedite the launch, enabling the mission to commence in 4 years instead of 7. With Richard at the helm, the mission finally lifts off. The shuttle docks with Humanitas, the vessel destined for their cosmic quest. They step inside, discovering their assigned quarters. Richard steals one last gaze at Earth, etching its image into his memory. Fast forward 10 years, and the children have blossomed into full-fledged adults. The ship hums with activity as they awaken, preparing to face another day in their self-contained world. The first lesson of the day delves into the intricacies of fertilization, crucial for the birth of the upcoming second generation. Methodical as ever, the crew goes about their routines, almost like well-oiled machines. They also sip on a blue liquid without knowing what it contains. In a moment of vulnerability, Sella confides in Richard, expressing her doubts about the significance of their existence. Seeking to console her, he shares photographs of his grandparents, emphasizing the importance of paving the way for future generations. The following day, Richard and Christopher venture into the hydroponic bay. Suddenly, a message concerning water toxicity flashes across Christopher's screen, prompting his concern. He probes Richard, suggesting it may be an unprocessed chemical stemming from their urine. But Richard dismisses his worries. Christopher is skeptical about it. Later on, Christopher turns to Zach, curious about the mysterious 56J ingredient. They both wonder why the information about it is so elusive. Determined to uncover the truth, they embark on a late-night investigation. Christopher skillfully bypasses the firewall, gaining access to the hidden information. They make a startling discovery. The blue liquid they consume contains this chemical. Initially, Zach believes it's just a digestion aid, but they soon realize its true impact. It dulls their senses, making them docile and less responsive to desires and pleasure. It becomes clear that they have been intentionally drugged and pacified to prevent natural reproduction and avoid overpopulating the ship. In response, they decide to stop drinking the blue liquid, taking control of their own destinies. Afterward, they share their findings with Kai and Julie, shedding light not only on 56J, but also on a secret compartment on the ship. In a subsequent session with Richard, Christopher confronts him about the lies he's been told, although he only mentions the unmarked compartment. Pod 23. Richard cryptically suggests that there may be a reason for the mission's deception, perhaps related to the third generation. After the session, Richard sends a message back to Earth, seeking permission to share the whole truth with the crew, aiming to restore their faith in him. However, he must patiently wait for the message to reach its destination. The next day, while waiting in line next to Sella, Christopher's mind wanders into a sexual fantasy about her. During lunch, he can't help but keep his gaze fixed on her. However, Zach interrupts, telling her that she has changed. Richard swiftly intervenes, reminding them to adhere to the rules and maintain proper conduct. Tensions continue to escalate as Christopher and Zach engage in an intense fight in the gym. The rest of the crew, bewildered by their actions, struggle to understand what is happening. With the effects of the drug no longer influencing their behavior, Christopher and Zach become increasingly aware of their surroundings. They hear peculiar noises emanating from the ship, prompting them to gather in an observation room. There, they encounter one of their fellow crew members who speculates that it may be an alien life form. Meanwhile, Sella and Richard are absent from his office, engrossed in a discussion about dried plants from Earth. As Zack and Christopher approach the room, Zack's jealousy flares up when he sees Richard touch Sella's shoulder. As they lose contact with Earth, Richard informs the crew that their transmitter needs fixing. Preparations are underway, and Zack seizes the opportunity to approach Sella again. However, his advances become inappropriate, and Richard rushes in to intervene. Zack flees the scene in his search for Zack. Richard encounters Phoebe, who informs him that Zack has stopped taking the blue liquid. Soon after, Richard runs into Christopher and discovers that he, too, has stopped taking the drug. An argument ensues, but Richard explains that the drug was intended to prevent precisely the kind of behavior exhibited by Zack. He requests Christopher's assistance in fixing the transmitter so that they can voice their concerns to Mission Control once it's operational. While the rest of the crew assumes their positions aboard the ship, preparations for a spacewalk are underway. Inside the ship, the ominous noises persist, causing restlessness among the crew. They check outside for any signs of danger, when suddenly, an unknown entity appears on the screen beside Richard and Christopher. In a devastating turn of events, it injures Richard, throwing him away from the ship. Simultaneously, the ship experiences a malfunction. Chaos ensues as a fire breaks out in the systems room, causing errors in navigation and communication throughout the ship. Christopher swiftly brings Richard to the medical team, but despite their efforts, they are unable to resuscitate him. Sella, serving as the chief medical officer, declares Richard's passing. In a subsequent meeting, the crew discusses the events that transpired, including the mysterious creaking sound. One crew member shares their observation of an alien-like force, seemingly entering Richard during the incident. In light of the circumstances, they find themselves in need of a new chief officer. Zack asserts that he should be the chief, but the rest of the crew insists on holding an election. Through a democratic process, they vote and elect Christopher as the chief officer. Although Zack feels a tinge of jealousy, he congratulates Christopher on his new role. The top priority becomes repairing the damage to the transmitter, with Christopher mobilizing the entire crew to address the other repairs caused by the fire. Meanwhile, Sella finds herself in Richard's office. Reluctantly, she sifts through Richard's photographs, sharing them with Christopher as they discuss the significance of family and loved ones. Curiosity arises as Christopher wonders if there might have been more than just friendship between Richard and Sella, but she clarifies that Richard merely felt lonely during their time together. They delve into Richard's video diary, where he expresses his unwavering belief in the mission and his deep care for each member of the crew. While Christopher searches for the crew, he discovers them gathered in the cantina, expressing their frustration at the absence of their colleagues from their designated posts. Zack explains that they are repairing the refrigerators to prevent any food spoilage. Taking advantage of the moment, Zack suggests having a feast to celebrate Christopher's new position as chief officer. They all indulge in a joyful meal together. Afterward, Kai advises the crew to refrain from drinking the blue liquid, and in a unified act, they discard it. Sella and Christopher spend time together, watching Richard's videos. Christopher finds himself increasingly drawn to Sella, while Zack finds himself similarly attracted to Julie, with a mutual exchange of touch. The others observe the sexual tension between them. Their spirits are uplifted as they delve into Richard's personal archive, exploring the memories he left behind. In Richard's quarters, Sella discovers them and urges them to leave, but their curiosity and connection to Richard's legacy compel them to stay. Zack, the last to depart, taunts Sella. Concerned for Sella's well-being, Christopher follows Zack, fearing his intentions. However, he realizes that Sella is in the medbay and swiftly arrives before Zack can reach her. When Zack enters, Christopher pretends that he and Sella are engaged in an intimate moment, prompting Zack to retreat. Confused by Christopher's actions, Sella brandishes a scalpel, ready to defend herself, unaware of his true intentions. Christopher departs, encountering Zack along the way, cautioning him to stay away from Sella. Suddenly, they hear the enigmatic crackling noise resurface, capturing their attention. Intrigued and alarmed, Christopher follows the sound, accompanied by others who also perceive its presence. In the midst of the chaos, Kai witnesses Julie growing close to another crew member, triggering an outburst of anger as he forcefully intervenes, resulting in a physical altercation. Subsequently, in the cantina, Christopher attempts to restore order among the crew, but his efforts are met with resistance. Unexpectedly, the crew member, whom Kai had previously attacked, retaliates. Wielding a tool and launching an assault, Christopher swiftly intervenes, striking the aggressor to halt the violence. In the subsequent meeting, Christopher addresses the escalating conflicts, emphasizing the need to cease the fighting. Zack challenges Christopher's leadership, arguing that their efforts are futile since they won't live to witness the mission's completion. Undeterred, Christopher emphasizes the importance of supporting future generations, even if they won't be there to experience it themselves. Phoebe suggests repairing the surveillance system to uncover the truth, but Zack dismisses her suggestion, belittling both her and Christopher. Frustrated with the rules and seeking support, Zack attempts to sway others to join his faction advocating for a group strong enough to confront any potential alien threat. Many crew members are swayed by his charisma, yet some remain loyal to Christopher. The divided groups converge on the surveillance room, driven by the fear that the alien may be lurking within. Christopher courageously enters first to investigate, while Zack and the others navigate the hallways, unaware that Christopher has already explored the area. As they venture deeper into the room, in search of the elusive alien, those outside witness a startling occurrence. Filled with terror, Zack and Kai flee in panic, hastily sealing the room behind them, unaware of the truth that lies within. Later, they gather the remaining members of their group and share the tale of the supposed alien attack. Meanwhile, Christopher retrieves the surveillance drive and brings it to Sella in the medbay. Alongside a few trusted individuals, they examine the footage, uncovering a shocking revelation. It becomes apparent that Zack and Kai were responsible for Richard's demise, electrocuting him and fabricating the story of an alien presence. In light of this unsettling truth, the group decides to withhold the information, temporarily, opting to strategize their next steps. Christopher and Sella hide the drive in her room, engaging in a heartfelt conversation about Zack's true nature. Christopher expresses concern that the others may not care about the truth, questioning his own apathy towards the situation. However, Sella disagrees, asserting that Zack and Kai's actions don't define the entirety of their group. Seeking solace, Christopher chooses to stay by Sella's side, and they share an intimate moment. As the morning unfolds, a persistent knock echoes on Sella's door. Zack's assertive voice seeps through, hinting that he won't hesitate to enter by force. Sella and Christopher open the door, finding Zack and Kaiki inviting them to yet another celebration in the cantina. Christopher's group arrives, joining the others. Christopher rises from his seat, navigating towards a nearby monitor. He plays the footage, unmasking Zack as Richard's killer and exposing the absence of an alien threat. A jolt of disbelief and anger sweeps through the crowd as Christopher reveals the web of lies spun by Zack. With conviction, he proposes confining Zack to his quarters while they consult the ship's protocols to determine the appropriate course of action. Emotions run high, and Zack, feeling cornered, confesses to his actions, asserting that he committed the act to protect the crew from the hidden alien within Richard, which he claims Christopher brought on board. Manipulating their fears, Zack convinces the others that the alien is lurking among them, urging them to embark on a mission to hunt it down and eliminate the supposed threat. The group, fueled by paranoia and desperation, succumbs to Zack's persuasion, pitting themselves against one another in a frenzied brawl. In the chaos, they single out a crewman who works in the medbay, convinced that he harbors the alien within. Swiftly, they give chase, relentlessly assaulting the crewman. Kai delivers the initial blow, and soon, others join in, ruthlessly attacking him until he breathes no more. Sensing the urgency, Christopher steers his group to a secure location within the ship, seeking refuge from the escalating violence. Meanwhile, Zack's faction storms into the medbay, arming themselves for the perceived battle against the hidden alien. Christopher's group finds themselves at a crossroads, grappling with feelings of hopelessness and considering surrender. Christopher decides to venture alone in search of the hidden cache, determined to retrieve the much-needed arsenal. Entering the compartment, Christopher scours its confines, desperately seeking the elusive cache. However, his efforts are met with frustration as he struggles to unlock it, inadvertently triggering an alarm. The blaring sound catches the attention of Julie and another crew member who overhear Christopher's presence within the compartment. Hastily, they rush to inform Zack about the unexpected turn of events. Christopher leaves momentarily to fetch tools to pry open the compartment, but upon his return, he discovers Zack's group dismantling the compartments, including the secret one. They successfully uncover the hidden cache of weapons. Two members from Christopher's group defect, choosing to join Zack and his followers. Sella, observing the unfolding events through a monitor, witnesses Zack's group advancing toward their location. Zack's group breaches the room, seizing Sella, Christopher, and the others. However, Sella intercedes, requesting a private conversation with Zack. With an air of deception, she feigns loyalty, expressing a desire to join his group. As Sella approaches him, Zack rejects her, mocking her while Phoebe appears, questioning the sanity of their actions. Despite her plea for reason, the others dismiss Phoebe's words, shutting her down. In a shocking turn of events, Kai, under Zack's influence, kills Phoebe, leaving the entire group in shock. Reacting swiftly, Zack turns his attention toward Christopher, and a desperate chase ensues. Sella and Christopher manage to escape, seeking refuge within an airlock. Christopher instructs Sella to put on a spacesuit while he covers the window of the airlock. As Zack closes in, he fires his weapon relentlessly. However, Sella and Christopher remain undeterred. In a bold move, Christopher pushes Zack outside the hatch, but in the midst of their struggle, tragedy strikes as Christopher himself is propelled into the vastness of space. Refusing to let Zack regain control, Sella kicks him out of the open hatch. Grief-stricken, she searches for Christopher, hoping for his return. To her astonishment, she spots him, desperately clinging to the ship, and together they manage to make their way back inside. Relaying the news to the others, they collectively lay down their weapons. Time passes, and the crew finds solace in sharing a meal within the cantina. With determination, Scylla contemplates ways to prevent such atrocities from recurring. They revisit Richard's recordings, finding solace in his belief that resilience and unity are a testament to humanity's worthiness. Embracing this sentiment, the crew elects Scylla as their new leader. She records a diary entry, emphasizing the importance of democratic decision. As days turn into years, the crew repairs the ship, fostering a sense of peace and cooperation. Scylla's pregnancy becomes apparent, and it becomes known that the child she carries is Christopher's. Eventually, their child is born, and as the years pass, they witness the younger generation growing up on board the ship alongside the aging pioneers of the first generation. After 86 years since the mission's inception, the Humanitas ship is seen floating gracefully in space, its propulsion system activated as it approaches the alien planet. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this.